I think we had like 7. No, we had 6. No, I think 7. 7 authors that we don't have an author's page to click on. This one was this one is written by Anonymous. So very fitting. The SCP Foundation, the Anonymous wrote a log, but yes, they wrote out of the frying pan. And I bless Anonymous for keeping this short. Thank you so much, Anonymous. A good way to end it. Object class Euclid. Containment procedures. SCP-2199 is a standard wildlife observation chamber located within Site 77. Listening devices are attached to the hump on a permanent basis in order to observe the interior of its body. Exploratory testing has been suspended due to the effect that repeated testing had on SCP-2199's health. What the hell was that person talking about? They're all very boring. It's literally peak SCP. I think they just looked at the titles and did not look at the SCP itself. I think they looked at the titles and the rating and were like, oh yeah, a lot of them are lower rated, so they're not exciting. Which I'm like, first of all, that's not a good way to measure SCPs. Because like, the rating can also just mean that not a lot of people had a chance to read them. Because maybe because most people are like, yeah, go read 682, go read 173, go read 096, go read 3000. And so, you know, at the end, like, things like 2191, Dracula's Factory just gets overshadowed. I mean, that still got highly rated, but like things like that get overshadowed. Because like at the end, like, people are so busy reading other ones. Exploitation has been suspended due to the fact that the repeated test had on SCP-2199's health. At the end, to the person that told me about them being boring, that's their taste. That's how they view the SCP Foundation or the wikis or the logs. And if it's not exciting for them, and if they prefer other stuff, that's perfectly fine. But it is. I will just defend the SCPs we just read. I think it is unfair that you start off by calling them boring, or like maybe saying that the titles themselves, the only one that you thought was interesting was Monthly Termination. Yeah, I do think that's a bit of an unfair critique, because now that I read all of these, except this one, I'm still reading this one, it does feel like it was judging the book by its cover or judging the log by its title type of deal, which I don't think is very fair. Because a lot of titles can be either really good or really weird, and then the SCP itself can go a whole different direction. SCP-2199 is an adult male Indian camel, Camelus dromedarius. The hump is hairless and has appearance of being covered in scar tissue. Instead of being completely composed out of tissue fibers, the hump on SCP-2199's back is filled with water underneath a 10 cm layer of fibrous tissue. This water is brackish, self-replenishing, and inhabits a volume roughly equivalent to the total biomass of SCP-2199. This is despite SCP-2199 containing normal internal organs. Despite the absence of any corresponding light sources, it contains ambient light. A large number of small organisms, collectively designated as -1, inhabit this space. Each subgroup of -1 resembles a particular species of plant or animal native to an arid region, but has adapted or been heavily modified for a small size and aquatic environments. Many display extremely unusual body plans, while still superficially resembling their desert counterparts. All -1 instances are between 2 and 10 cm long, and the relative size of -1 subgroups do not correspond to the relative sizes of their unmodified relatives. Since direct examination on this ecosystem requires that SCP-2199 be anesthetized and its hump surgically opened, visual observation has been limited. It is, however, possible to observe -1 from outside the hump by listening to the vocalization and audio traces. Regular monitoring of -1 is carried out almost entirely via audio in order to minimize damage to SCP-2199 due to invasive testing. Is this like a reference to how like people always said the camels like store water in the humps, which is I believe is not it's not true. It's like a myth. Observed organisms types within -1 closest apparent ancestor description. So we have bark scorpion, Centurioids sp. Closely resembles a legless but otherwise normal bark scorpion. Rapid flicking movement on the tail are used for locomotion, propulsion, orientation control, and posture maintenance. It almost sounds like like each camel back, each hump has a little like a little aquarium, but instead of fish, it's like it's a land animal that has a aquatic version of itself. It's the Pokemon world. Like it's like, you know, like how certain regions have a different version of the same Pokemon. It's kind of like that. Ostrich Struthio camelus. Individuals are 3 to 4 centimeters long, with a small spheroid body, webbed feet, shortened limbs, and 2 short muscular tails with long feathers. The tails are used similar to bacterial flagella, generating propulsion by spinning counter to each other. Primarily herbivorous, and active hunter of algae and free-floating microflora. Imagine Imagine living there and then you figure out the creator of your universe is a camel. Oh, okay, yeah. Like the animal inside the hump is like, it looks around, just sees a camel's head, just like, you're like, what the? Meerkat, suricata. Observed only once visually. These rare organisms are benthic detritivores, subsisting entirely on within the layer of excreta and other detritus that accumulates gradually on the bottom of SCP-2199. And also meerkat, not meerkat. Meer is German for the ocean. Das Meer. That's why I said meerkat. Texas horned lizard, Phrynosoma cornutum, resembles the detached head of the lizard, with supernumerary spines and no external locomotor appendages. Moves by launching its 10-centimeter long tongue towards a prey animal, then retracting the tongue to pull itself and the prey together for consumption. I'm always like, I will always give respect to people that take an animal that we like very much know and be like, well, what if it worked differently? Because it's not easy to like take something that you know already and add a twist to it. I mean, it is, but like, it's not easy to make it likable or interesting, you know. It is kind of cool to have this idea of like a lizard just like moving around underwater by pulling its tongue out, and then that's how like, it pulls itself with the tongue. It's an interesting idea. It's a very interesting idea. Western black widow, Latrodectus hesperus, has a single cephalothorax bearing several hundred long legs. The exoskeleton is entirely soft, permitting the body to undulate for jellyfish-like propulsion. The red hourglass marking on the abdomen is a bioluminescent lure used to attract smaller organisms within reach of the legs, which capture them and carry them into the large central mouth for envenomation and consumption. Preys primarily in other black widow and scorpion type -1 instances. So that's actually I gotta say, the Western black widow, the water version of Western black widow sounds pretty cool. That just sounds pretty dope. SCP-2199 was discovered outside of Cairo, Egypt, in an abandoned desert ruin with 2 near-human skeletons. In addition, the ancient remains of several other animals were discovered. The identified specimens include a horse, crocodile, abnormally large birds, and whale bones. The following script was found etched into the wall, translated from Latin. The carrier/holder/ark has crashed, and we are truly lost/alone. There's nobody to inherit/take the last guardians/warlords of life, and they will be lost in time. This development is unfortunate, but inevitable/destined. They probably wouldn't have gotten along in this dead place. Since the discovery of SCP-3150 in 1940, no less than 2 similar entities to SCP-2199 have been observed within SCP-3150-1. Investigation into SCP-219's origin via SCP-3150-3 is currently pending review. So it sounds like this camel came from somewhere else. And also, kind of sounds like the camel ate things, and then and then created them inside the hump. From the sounds of it, I might be fully wrong, but it does sound like the camel was like. Also, the title, out of the frying pan. Wait, what's the full sense again? Out of the frying pan into the fire. So maybe I think it has to do with the fact that like the camel ate or like consumed all those things and then created its own version. In the maybe I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that, on how I read that ending.